Well, Slade, guess what? It wasn't a quiet week.
Yeah, that's right. We had a lot happen this past week. A lot of it, in fact, most of it, not good at all.
Yeah.
Byron and Slade here. We're going to go ahead and get started with what I view as probably the most important topic to bring to your attention, as it is still an ongoing issue. There is a massive Steam games scam going on right now.
Yeah, so to brief you, I'll give you the brief overview. The two biggest known games to be affected by this are Helldivers 2 and Palworld, with Twitter account Wario64 noting, no, Helldivers 2 is not 75 to 50% off on Steam. Someone else is using a different game and renaming it exactly like a Helldivers 2 listing as a scam. Whoo, shit. Right?
That's right. So basically, over this past week, 800 games have been falsely listed and priced.
Yeah.
On Steam. That the same indie company is doing this, but they go under 3 different names. I don't exactly have that information.
Yeah, I have 2 of the names right there. In reality, the games were, at least for the Helldivers 2 scam, Figurality by Soul On Board Studio and Do Not Smile by White Hole Games. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And we wanted to bring this to your attention because it's still an ongoing thing. Right now, the count is about 800 total games have been taken down off of Steam due to, their attempts to scam people.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
And there are still more games populated and being taken down by Steam as of right now.
Yeah.
So the way that this game works, because you might be thinking, how can they just go in and list their game under some other game's name and company? Well, the way they do that is, first and foremost, they, doctor, the site, the reviews, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So for Steam's review process, you have to purchase the game and then manually type in a review. So what these indie developers did was they reduced the price of the game to basically 1/100th of a penny.
Yeah.
Bought somebody of their own copies and then started writing a bunch of their own fake reviews and stuff like that. And then raised the price back up to what they were and then started posting them.
Yeah. This is absolutely bizarre stuff. I don't know how Steam is letting this happen, but it's ridiculous. I'm glad people are pointing it out. I'm glad we could inform you, the viewers, you, the listeners, to try to avoid these as best as you can.
Yeah, if you want more details, a very popular Hollow Knight streamer by the name of Fireborn made a excellent YouTube video. He covers all the details, including the games, the companies, the process, and all that stuff. We'll have it in the description below, so please check it out.
Yeah.
But like Byron said, we just want to inform you because we don't want any of our viewers getting scammed.
Yeah, some of these have been taken down. There's still apparently 800, as you said, Slade. So hopefully, Valve, get off your ass and take these scams down, please. Come on.
Okay, let's actually reel that in a little bit. It's 800 games that have been taken off Steam.
Oh, 800 have been taken off. Okay.
The problem is they're popping up as quickly as they're popping up.
So it's like...
let's give Valve a break here. They are trying.
It's the biggest game of whack-a-mole since emulation, and we'll get into that
honestly,
later. But from a bad thing to what could be seen as a good thing. Toys for Bob. If you don't know who they are, they have made the Spyro Reignited trilogy. They've made Crash. They were pioneers of Skylanders, but they are now going indie. They're going independent, and they're no longer part of the big, gigantic Microsoft Xbox game studios.
Yeah, so personally, I think this is really good news whenever a company goes fully independent. It allows them the creative freedom to make the choices that they want. They're not beholden to large, company of large shareholders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Primarily because over the last 3 years after the release of Crash 4 It's About Time,
Mhm.
and the fact that wasn't really a commercial success.
For many reasons, by the
They
way.
were conscripted to the Call of Duty team
Well,
and kind of trapped working as like a secondary studio for that.
well, and then they made a game that probably should not have existed in Crash Team Rumble.
Yes.
God, that
So-
flop of a game, which, by the way, that game is having its final season, like, very soon, so.
Yes.
But,
So them getting free to me is good news, even if unfortunately that means we've probably seen the end of Crash and Spyro
yeah.
for the second time, which is very sad.
Yeah, but they do say, Toys for Bob do, in their announcement that they are exploring a possible partnership between our new studio, Microsoft, and while we're in the early days of developing our next new game, which, by the way, I guess confirmation, Toys for Bob are developing a new game, so that's cool. And a ways away from making any announcements, our team is excited to develop new stories, new characters, and new gameplay experiences. So I would have to guess their next new game is probably a platformer because they've made a lot of those. So
Yes, that seems to be like their specialty, their go-to.
which
So-
I'm game for it. I'm game.
Yeah, Byron and I are looking at their career with great interest.
Yeah.
Hoping we see, resurgence, kind of like how we saw from Platonic.
Oh hell yeah, yeah. Still waiting to see whatever they announce next. But
Yeah, but like I said, I'm going to view this as good news. It is nice to say.
yep. And well, let's get on to our favorite topic of the last
Yeah, our
year.
weekly depressing news.
All right.
right.
Layoffs.
That's right. So both PlayStation and EA have come out with a massive number of layoffs. I guess we'll start with the worst of the two. PlayStation has laid off 1,900 employees, or close to 10% of their entire workforce.
900 people, not 1,900. We're not that.
Oh,
we're not,
sorry, I misread that.
Yeah,
I misread that.
900 people, 8% or so of employees.
That's still a lot of people.
Yeah. So, how does this break down? So there will be impacts at London Studios, which has 105 employees. Yeah, that's done. That's shut down. So RIP London Studio, which to make things just Slade, to make it that much more shittier, Jim Ryan was at London Studios 5 days prior to this announcement. And there were
Yes.
yeah. What a
And he reassured the employees that their jobs were not in any danger or whatnot. He basically lied to their faces, just straight up.
there will
Very
be
scummy.
there will be reductions at Fire Sprite, and it was also noted there will be reductions at places like Insomniac and Naughty Dog. So even some of the bigger Sony studios are being affected by this. So
Yeah. The one common trend all those studios have is they're all Western studios. There
Yep.
have been no Eastern layoffs, primarily because the laws of Japan actually protect the employees of those studios and whatnot. And Western studios do not have that same level of protection.
yeah, but in
Yeah.
Japan they do scummier things like make you literally do like nothing till you fucking lose your mind and quit.
Well, sure, absolutely. But like even still,
Yeah.
like it's still scummy overall.
Yeah.
But I think we need laws to protect employees out here in the West. It's we've been arguing for this for like I don't know, 50 plus years now. Like it never ends.
Yep, after careful considerations, it became clear changes need to be made. Sony is changing in front of our eyes as we know it, which is crazy because apparently alongside with this, Jason Schreier of Bloomberg reported that with Fire Sprite having some reductions, the long speculated Twisted Metal live service game, which if you know what Sony's been up to, it would make sense they'd have a Twisted Metal game, considering there's the Twisted Metal series on NBC's Peacock streaming service. That is canceled at this point. So that's the layoffs there at Sony, and apparently also in at the same time this came out, there was a report about how Fire Sprite Studio has been shedding talent besides this layoff amidst accusations of toxic work culture. So
yeah, which surprises nobody.
not really great over there. But the other big one, Slade, the other big layoff, Electronic Arts cutting 5% of their workforce.
Yep, which amounts to about 670 people.
God,
Also very terrible. And
goddamn.
I think with the latest amount of layoffs between both EA and PlayStation, I think we are now past the 3/4 mark for how many layoffs we had the previous year. And it's only March.
Yeah, like counting all the previous layoffs in the last, 2.5 months at this point?
Yes, we
Or
have
so.
almost reached the total we had for the entirety of last year. It's very disgusting.
It's fucking crazy. It's that the industry is I don't think it's gonna go through like a consumer facing crash. I think it's going through like an employee business crash right now.
Yes.
Because they overhired in 2020 because, debt was essentially free. It was free debt, basically. Free money, free real estate. That meme. And now, yeah, like, and I've heard some people say, these types of layoffs, maybe not as big, but some of these layoffs were going to be happening anyways had it not been for the pandemic. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
just,
more than half the companies that are laying off employees are also still insanely profitable. So they really wanted to make things work. They could have, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but yeah, good old layoffs.
Yep, our favorite topic to cover on this channel.
Yeah,
It's just depressing every time.
Yeah, so
Alrighty.
hopefully to the employees laid off, hope you land on your feet somewhere, whether it's within the game industry or not. At this point, just anywhere at this point, because goddamn, it's not looking good for the game industry. It's not looking good for tech in general right now. But speaking of tech, Slade, our final topic of this week involves tech. It is probably the biggest emulation lawsuit since Sony versus Bleem. Nintendo are going to be taking Tropic Haze LLC to court in the U.S. District Court of Rhode Island. And Tropic Haze is Yuzu. What is Yuzu? Slade, explain.
Yuzu is a Switch emulator that you could play on your PC or your Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, it allows you, as long as you have your system keys, it allows you to play ROMs that you can acquire illegally or legally to play your Switch games on other devices.
Yeah.
So the grounds of this lawsuit essentially touch upon the fact that over 1 million players got access to The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom before the game even came out, which is 100% true. You can actually see people playing it everywhere on streaming platforms and whatnot.
Yeah, like,
and it's a situation that got out of control pretty early.
Yeah, when I first saw that number, that purported number, 1 million, I'm like, that's fucking high. I feel like it's not realistically that high, but I could see it being kind of close to that, because as you mentioned, people were just like, oh, YouTube videos, Twitch streams, Discord, etc., etc.
Yeah, but it is like a lot. Like there were a lot of people playing the game before the game came out.
Yeah.
But their grounds on their argument is that Yuzu saw its Patreon money double during that time frame.
Yeah.
But to me, and Byron and I actually debated on this back and forth a little bit. I guess we'll do it now.
Yeah.
To me, I don't think, based on previous precedent, that Nintendo has any real ground to stand on. Primarily because Yuzu themselves did not distribute Tears of the Kingdom, and they do not distribute system keys for the Nintendo Switch. You are required to provide those things yourself.
Now,
if you want to use it.
I don't know how much you've messed around with Switch emulation. If you have at all, I have not at all messed around with that.
I have, admittedly.
Yeah, so you would probably be more knowledgeable on that front. I will say, a current system emulator. The Switch is still, even if it's getting long in the tooth at this point, it's still out on the market. It's still available to buy at your local like Walmarts or whatever. The fact that they have a Patreon for this emulator makes me do the Simpsons dog side eye, which, like, because it's like you're making money off of emulating a platform that is currently available. I don't see it as that big of a potential issue if it's, let's say, Dolphin, Project 64, Cemu, Citra, which I believe Citra and Yuzu are the same team, or at least some people are mixed between both, but etc. But I think maybe the Patreon support, and I would assume, like, if Discovery happens, which, imagine that, Slade. Imagine if Discovery actually happens.
Yeah, I'm actually super interested to see what Discovery finds on not just Yuzu, but Nintendo as well in regards to this case.
Yeah, because that would be very interesting. Mainly,
I'm actually curious to see where they got that 1 million figure.
Yeah,
for Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, God, but yeah, I think the Patreon might come back to bite them in the ass. I could be very wrong, but that's just my opinion.
Well, at the very least, it'll force people who create and run emulators to do it completely for free. They won't be able to profit off of it.
Which, that's always been my stance is, like, you probably shouldn't anyways, but if you want to, go for it for an older system. Why not?
At the very least, for an older system, right? Not for, like, a current platform. Personally, I don't really have a problem with emulation for current system, so long as everything is acquired 100% legally. So you acquire your own ROMs, you get your own Switch keys, you get everything yourself.
Which, fair stance to have. I think current system emulation should be kept, like, more underground than it is.
Right now, I definitely don't think it should be, like,
at the forefront.
At the face in the forefront. And you definitely shouldn't have 1 million players playing a game illegally before that game even comes out.
Even if the number...
That is pretty scuffed, I agree.
Even if the number, realistically, I don't think it's 1 million. I think that might be a bit too high. But even if it's half of that number, that's still crazy.
Yeah. And if they're held liable for 1 million copies of Breath of the Wild, or even half that, then these people are bankrupt. They're just straight up screwed.
Yeah, they're like that one dude. I forgot his name. His last name, I think, was Bowser, which was very funny.
So.
But
I know what you're talking about.
But that dude, Gary Bowser, I think, was his name. That dude is still, I think, paying off Nintendo. And then Mr. Steven Totillo, who was the original person to break the news, also mentioned having a flashback to Valve hastily putting a video that showed Yuzu loaded onto a Steam Deck, like they took it down. Which, considering Steam, Valve, and emulation history lately, not surprised. Not surprised but a plot twist. And also Nintendo mentioned Yuzu spoiling people. Spoiling Tears of the Kingdom for people. Which, like, YouTube thumbnails do that even with legit copies that people get early. I don't fucking know what Nintendo are talking about there.
Because Yuzu was able to run a game that hadn't come out yet, they should be held liable for that. Which,
that's still...
Again, I'm not really sure they have grounds to stand on there, because, again... Yuzu themselves haven't done anything illegal outside of maybe the Patreon, which I'm not even sure where the legality is on that. That's definitely a very gray area, and I guess they're going to fight it out in court. Too,
well, that we know of. That we know of, if Yuzu did or didn't do anything illegal. Because guess what? Slade mentioned it. They're lawyering up. Yep, they are lawyering up, and their lawyer will be Nicole Benjamin Esquire. Ooh. Or, well, yeah, the summons, yeah, Yuzu have responded. They're lawyering up, so.
Yeah, so at the very least, Yuzu plans to go down swinging if they go down. So
Yep.
we are going to be following this with great interest because, like Byron said towards the start, this is the biggest emulation case that we've had since the PlayStation 1.
Yes, since Sony Bleem.
Yeah, which is massive. This could change the entire future of emulation as we know it. So
yeah, like, but so Nicole Benjamin sent Tropic Haze the waiver of summons, and apparently they responded on the 29th. And so yeah, I am very, which Leap Day, shoutouts to Leap Day, but I am going to be very curious. This is taking place in Rhode Island, which I would not have thought I guess that's where Tropic Haze LLC was founded, which I guess interesting fun fact to know there. The smallest US state. But yeah, this could change the course of emulation as we know it.
yes.
Which I like my emulation, mainly because Nintendo doesn't really give us a good quality way to play multiplayer games online, retro games online with friends. Now, yes, there's NSO on N64, but that runs like absolute garbage from my experience. Now, I've heard it runs great for some people, so it's debatable, but also like GameCube, that's a big one I play. A lot of those games are only going to get remade, and there's not going to be a GameCube NSO. I'm sorry to break y'all's hearts. That's just the truth. There's not going to be a GameCube NSO anytime soon. But yeah, very curious to see what happens with this one. Yeah, we'll be following it up. We'll provide any updates on that case, and just anything else that happens within the next couple of weeks.
Yep. So that's all of our stories for the episode. I guess the only thing I want to wrap it up with is just that good old-fashioned Gabe Newell piracy quote. Piracy is almost always a service problem and not a pricing problem.
Agreed.
And I think that's why I think emulation's important, because Nintendo themselves don't provide their own good service to access retro games and play them multiplayer. That's why, and not only that, but also like game preservation as well. So like, I don't want to see this go negatively for Yuzu personally, but again, I guess we're going to learn a lot of stuff in Discovery. And
well, if it gets to that point,
we don't know if like maybe they settle, but they probably won't. Spoilers, but they could, right?
It's very possible, but yeah, there won't be an episode next week. Slade will be out of town, so we will be covering any gaming news that happens within the next couple of weeks. Then, but yeah, hope y'all have a good day, good night, and goodbye. Bye, everybody.